The air was thick with the scent of fresh coffee and the hum of ambition in a modest Seattle apartment. Emily Parker, a 34-year-old single mom, stood at the kitchen counter, her hands steady despite the weight of a decade's worth of sacrifices. Her daughter, Sophia Bennett, a 17-year-old with fire in her hazel eyes, was hunched over her laptop, finalizing college applications. This was their sanctuary, a small, two-bedroom haven where dreams were forged through grit and love. But tonight, the cracks of a deeper betrayal were about to surface, threatening to unravel everything they'd built. Emily's life hadn't been easy. Growing up in the shadow of her younger sister, Lauren, in a Bellevue household ruled by their parents, Charles and Margaret Hughes, Emily learned early that love came with a hierarchy. Lauren was the golden child, poised, charming, and eager to follow the polished path her parents laid out. Emily, with her sharp tongue and stubborn streak, was labeled the troublemaker for daring to dream beyond their expectations. She wasn't reckless, just fiercely independent, and that made her an outlier in a family obsessed with control. At 18, Emily found solace in Ryan Bennett, a kind-hearted musician who saw her for who she was. They married young, drunk on love and hope, and welcomed Sophia when Emily was barely 20. But the fairy tale crumbled fast. Ryan's gigs dried up, and by the time Sophia was 2, he left for a fresh start in California, leaving Emily with divorce papers and sporadic child support checks. Suddenly, she was a single mom with a high school diploma, working double shifts as a medical receptionist to keep a roof over their heads. "Move back home," Margaret urged during one of their tense phone calls, her voice dripping with pity. "We can help with Sophia while you get your life together." But Emily knew the cost of that offer, her freedom and Sophia's chance at a life free from the conditional affection she'd endured. Instead, she rented a cramped apartment near a good elementary school, piecing together a life for her and Sophia with every ounce of determination she had. Sophia was Emily's pride and joy, a girl whose resilience outshone her years. At 12, she started babysitting. By 14, she was walking dogs and tutoring younger kids. At 16, she landed a part-time job at a local bookstore. Every paycheck funneled into her college fund. "I'm going to the University of Washington or Stanford, Mom," she'd declare, her voice brimming with conviction. "I'll make it so you don't have to worry anymore." Her selflessness broke Emily's heart, but it also fueled her pride. By her junior year, Sophia had saved $38, a testament to her relentless work ethic. Even if it meant skipping prom and wearing thrift store clothes. Emily's own fortunes had improved, too, after years of night classes. She earned her nursing degree, boosting her income enough to move them to a safer neighborhood. For the first time, she could buy Sophia new sneakers instead of secondhand ones. Their life wasn't lavish, but it was theirs, built on mutual trust and shared dreams. Meanwhile, Lauren's life gleamed like a magazine cover. Married to Ethan, a successful real estate developer, she lived in a sprawling Mercer Island home just a short drive from Charles and Margaret. Their daughter, Chloe, was the apple of her grandparents' eyes. Charles and Margaret attended every one of Chloe's dance recitals and volleyball games, showering her with praise and gifts. Sophia, on the other hand, got birthday cards and occasional Christmas checks, always accompanied by polite but distant remarks. "That's nice, dear," Margaret would say when Sophia won a science fair. "Chloe just got accepted to the elite cheer squad." You know, despite the favoritism, Sophia stayed gracious. She called her grandparents weekly, helped them set up their new smart TV, and never let their indifference dim her warmth. "It's okay, Mom," she'd say after a particularly stinging family gathering where Charles announced a trip to Hawaii for Chloe. "I don't need fancy stuff. I've got you and my goals." Her maturity only deepened Emily's resolve to protect her daughter's dreams. March brought a flood of joy to their apartment. Acceptance letters poured in from top schools, University of Washington, UCLA, and, most thrillingly, Stanford, with a partial scholarship. Over pizza at their kitchen table, they crunched numbers. Even with financial aid, Stanford's costs were daunting. "I can work part-time during school," Sophia offered, her voice steady, "and full-time in summers." Emily squeezed her hand. Let's not worry yet. You've earned this moment. Let's celebrate. That night, as Sophia chopped vegetables for dinner, her phone buzzed. She answered, her smile fading into concern. Grandpa, what's wrong? She whispered, stepping into the living room. When she returned, her face was ashen. Mom, Grandpa needs emergency surgery, a rare liver procedure. He was crying. It costs $40, and their insurance won't cover it. They might lose their house. Emily's stomach churned. Charles had a history of convenient crises when he wanted something: new cars, vacations, always justified by some urgent need. Did they ask for money? She pressed. Sophia hesitated. Not exactly. Grandpa just said they're desperate. Mom, they helped us when I was little. Remember? Like paying for my glasses. Those glasses, Emily recalled bitterly, had been held over their heads for years, as if they owed Charles and Margaret eternal gratitude. Sophia, your college fund is for your future. Emily said firmly. If they're in trouble, I can help them find payment plans. But Sophia's resolve was unshakable. It's Grandpa's life. Mom, I can't let him die because I wanted a fancy degree. I'll take loans or start at community college. People do it all the time. Emily wanted to scream, to call Charles and demand answers. But Sophia was 17, legally able to make her own choices. More than that, this was a pivotal moment in her relationship with her grandparents. If Emily pushed too hard, she risked becoming the villain in their carefully spun narrative. Let me talk to them first, Emily suggested. Maybe we can split the cost. But Sophia shook her head. They need the money this week for the pre-op appointment. Grandpa said any delay could be fatal. The urgency felt like another red flag. But Sophia was already logging into her bank account, her fingers trembling as she arranged the transfer. Every dollar she'd earned, through missed sleepovers, skipped outings, and endless shifts, was about to vanish on a tearful plea. The next morning, they drove to Charles and Margaret's pristine Bellevue home, a cashier's check in hand. Margaret answered the door, her pearl necklace gleaming, her expression oddly serene for someone facing a family crisis. Oh, Sophia, you're a lifesaver, she cooed, hugging her granddaughter while casting Emily a cryptic glance. Your grandfather's resting, but this means the world. Emily scanned the living room. No medical papers, no signs of distress, just the usual sterile perfection. Which hospital's handling the procedure? She asked casually. Margaret waved a hand. That specialty clinic downtown. Charles has the details. When Charles emerged, he moved with his usual confidence. No trace of a man facing a life-threatening illness. He teared up when Sophia handed him the check, promising to repay her as soon as we're back on our feet. We're so blessed to have such a generous granddaughter, he said, patting her hand. But his tone, smooth, rehearsed, sent a chill down Emily's spine. She'd heard those promises before, always followed by disappointment. Sophia left their house lighter, as if saving her grandfather had lifted a weight from her soul. Over the next weeks, she dove into researching community colleges, her optimism unshaken. It's just a detour, Mom, she said brightly. I'll transfer to a 4-year school later. Emily played along, helping her explore options while battling a gnawing dread. Charles and Margaret offered no updates on the surgery. When Sophia called, they pivoted to Chloe's upcoming graduation, their voices brimming with pride. Then came the social media post that cracked the facade wide open. Margaret, who rarely used Instagram, shared a photo of Chloe beaming beside a sleek BMW convertible, a red bow perched on its hood. Congrats to our star granddaughter on her graduation. Enjoy your dream car and European adventure. So proud of you, the caption read. Sophia saw it too, her voice soft with surprise. Wow, Chloe got a car for graduating. That's really generous of Aunt Lauren and Uncle Ethan. Emily nodded, her unease growing, but the pieces hadn't yet clicked. 3 weeks after Sophia's transfer, Emily ran into Lauren at Bellevue Square during a lunch break. Laden with shopping bags, Lauren waved enthusiastically. Emily, how's Sophia prepping for college? The question stung. She's looking at community college now, Emily replied carefully. Financial reasons. Lauren frowned. Really? I thought she got into Stanford. Mom and Dad said she was a shoo-in. She did, Emily said, her voice tight. Plans changed. Lauren's confusion seemed genuine. Well, community college is smart. Chloe's thrilled about USC. And Mom and Dad's gift sealed the deal. Gift? Emily echoed, a cold knot forming in her gut. Lauren's eyes sparkled. Yeah, $35. Can you believe it? She got the BMW she wanted. And we're using the rest for a 3-week trip to Europe, London, Paris, Rome. First class all the way. They've been planning it since last fall. Said it's an investment in her future. The world tilted. $35. Almost the exact amount Sophia had given for a life-saving surgery. Now funding Chloe's luxury car and a lavish vacation. When did they decide on this gift? Emily asked, her voice eerily calm. Oh, months ago, Lauren said, oblivious to the storm brewing. Since Christmas. They wanted Chloe's graduation to be unforgettable. Since she's their only grandkid heading straight to a top university. She caught herself backtracking. I mean, graduating this year. Emily excused herself, claiming a work emergency, and stumbled to her car. Tears of rage burning her eyes. Charles and Margaret had orchestrated a cruel deception, preying on Sophia's trust to redirect her hard-earned savings to their favored granddaughter. The tearful call, the urgent timeline, the promises of repayment, it was all a lie. She called Charles, her hands shaking. He answered, irritation in his voice. Charles Hughes. How was the surgery? She demanded. A pause. What surgery? The life-saving liver procedure Sophia gave you her college fund for. The one so urgent you needed $38 immediately. Another silence. Longer this time. Emily, you're confused. Stop lying. She snapped. I just saw Lauren. I know about Chloe's $35 graduation gift, the car. The Europe trip. What happened to the surgery? Miraculous recovery the second Sophia's money hit your account? Charles's tone turned icy. That money was a gift from Sophia. What we do with our finances is none of your business. She needed to learn generosity. Chloe's worked just as hard and deserves this. The casual cruelty stole Emily's breath. Chloe's never had a job. Sophia's been working since she was 12. Community college will build her character. Just like you, he added dismissively. Emily hung up, her vision blurred with fury. This wasn't just theft, it was a calculated strike against Sophia's future. Her trust, her very spirit. Breaking the news to Sophia was agony. That evening, Emily sat her down in their living room, taking her hands. Sweetheart, there was no surgery. I ran into Aunt Lauren today. Your grandparents gave Chloe $35 for a car and a Europe trip. They planned it months ago. Sophia's face cycled through shock, disbelief, and devastation. But Grandpa was crying. He said he might die. They lied. Sophia, they took your college fund knowing exactly what they were doing. Sophia pulled away, hugging herself. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe they found another way to pay for the surgery. Even now, she clung to hope, unable to fathom such betrayal. Emily showed her Margaret's Instagram post. The timestamps proving the trip was booked before the emergency. The captions gloating about Chloe's dream gift. Call them, Emily urged gently. Ask them yourself. With trembling hands, Sophia dialed Charles, putting him on speaker. Grandpa, how are you feeling after the surgery? The silence was deafening. Finally, he cleared his throat. Sophia, adults make tough choices for the family's good. The money you gave us is being used wisely. Chloe's earned this. Sophia's voice broke. Was there ever a surgery? Another pause. You'll understand when you're older. She ended the call, set her phone down with eerie precision, and walked to her room. Emily found her staring at her Stanford acceptance letter, tears streaming silently. All those years, Sophia whispered. No prom, no new clothes, extra shifts, for nothing. Emily held her as she sobbed, her daughter's heartbreak echoing her own. That night, Sophia's restless pacing kept Emily awake. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. by morning. Sophia's eyes were puffy, but her expression had hardened. Over breakfast, she announced, I want to call them again. I need to hear them explain it. Emily nodded, marveling at her daughter's strength. Sophia dialed from the kitchen, her voice steady as she demanded answers. You've always been fine, Margaret said dismissively. Chloe needed this more than you needed an overpriced school. I earned that money, Sophia countered. Every cent. Charles cut in. Family comes first, not selfish dreams. When she hung up, Sophia looked at Emily, her eyes clear. They don't see anything wrong with it. They think Chloe deserves my money more than I do. In that moment, Emily saw Sophia's innocence die, the belief that family meant unwavering love. What replaced it was a painful wisdom no 17-year-old should bear. A week later, Margaret called, announcing a graduation dinner for Chloe, expecting them to attend as if nothing had happened. We're not going, Emily said, but Sophia surprised her. No, Mom, we should. I need to face them. I need closure. Emily saw the fire in her daughter's eyes, the same determination that had carried her through years of sacrifice. Reluctantly, she agreed. As they prepared for the dinner, Emily made a silent vow. Charles and Margaret had crossed a line, and she would ensure they faced consequences. This wasn't just about money, it was about justice. About protecting Sophia's heart and her hard-won dreams. The battle was just beginning, and Emily knew they'd fight it together, no matter the cost. The Seattle rain drummed against the windows of Emily Parker's apartment, a relentless rhythm that mirrored the storm brewing in her heart. It was a gray morning in late April, and the sting of betrayal still hung heavy in the air. Emily, a 34-year-old single mother, sat at her kitchen table, her nursing scrubs neatly folded beside a stack of legal documents. Across from her, her 17-year-old daughter, Sophia Bennett, sipped coffee, her hazel eyes fixed on the papers with a mix of resolve and trepidation. Just weeks ago, Sophia's grandparents, Charles and Margaret Hughes, had manipulated her into handing over her $38 college fund for a fabricated, life-saving, liver surgery, only for Emily to discover they'd used the money to buy their other granddaughter, Chloe, a BMW and a lavish European vacation. Now, mother and daughter were ready to fight back, not just for the money, but for Sophia's stolen trust and shattered dreams. The betrayal had cut deep, leaving Sophia's once unshakable faith in family in tatters. But in its place, a fierce determination had taken root. I'm done letting them think they can get away with this, Sophia said, her voice steady despite the pain etched on her face. Emily nodded, her own anger simmering beneath a calm exterior. We're not just fighting for your college fund, Sophia, we're fighting for what's right. Their next step was clear. They needed legal help to hold Charles and Margaret accountable. Through a colleague at the hospital, Emily found Rachel Morgan, a sharp-eyed attorney known for taking on cases of financial exploitation. In Rachel's cozy downtown office, surrounded by shelves of law books and framed photos of her own kids, Emily and Sophia recounted the harrowing tale. Sophia's voice trembled as she described her grandfather's tearful plea, the urgency that pushed her to transfer her hard-earned savings, and the gut-wrenching moment she learned it was all a lie. Rachel listened intently, her pen scratching notes, her expression hardening with each detail. This is textbook fraud, Rachel said when Sophia finished, her tone clipped but confident. They knowingly misrepresented a medical emergency to induce you to give them money. The fact that their family makes it worse, legally and morally. Emily leaned forward. What can we do? Rachel outlined their options. We start with a formal demand letter, requesting the return of the full $38 plus interest within 10 days. If they refuse, we file a civil lawsuit. Given the evidence, your grandfather's voicemails, the social media posts, the timing of Chloe's gifts, you have a strong case. Sophia's brow furrowed. Would it go to court? Rachel nodded. It could, but most cases like this settle out of court. People like your grandparents, with their polished reputation in the community, won't want this aired publicly. Emily saw a flicker of hope in Sophia's eyes, but also fear. What if they fight back? Sophia asked. Rachel smiled grimly. Then we fight harder. You've got truth on your side. That evening, back in their apartment, Emily and Sophia weighed their decision over takeout Chinese. What do you want out of this, Sophia? Emily asked. The money. Sure, but is there more? Sophia stared at her chopsticks. her voice soft but firm. I want my future back. But I also want them to see what they did was wrong, not just legally. But to me, to us, I want them to feel it. Emily squeezed her hand. Then we'll make sure they do. Over the next week, they gathered evidence, bank transfer records, Charles's voicemails pleading for the money, screenshots of Margaret's Instagram post flaunting Chloe's car, and text messages where Charles promised repayment. Rachel wove it all into a scathing demand letter. A 4-page masterpiece that laid bare the Hughes deception and demanded $38 plus 10% interest within 10 days. Or face legal action for fraud. Sophia read it carefully, her jaw set as she signed her name at the bottom. Are you sure? Emily asked. Sophia nodded. They took my dreams. Mom, I'm taking them back. The letter was delivered by courier to the Hughes Bellevue mansion the next morning. Within hours, Emily's phone lit up with Margaret's number. She braced herself and answered. How dare you threaten us with lawyers? Margaret shrieked, her voice a mix of indignation and panic. After everything we've done for you and Sophia? Emily kept her tone ice cold. This isn't a threat, Mom. It's a consequence. You committed fraud. Margaret scoffed. Sophia gave us that money freely. Under a lie. Emily shot back. You said Dad needed surgery to survive. We have the voicemails. A brief silence. Then Margaret's voice turned venomous. You're just jealous of Lauren and Chloe. This is your pathetic attempt to ruin their happiness. Emily's grip tightened on the phone. Return the money. And this ends quietly. You have 10 days. She hung up, her heart pounding, as a flood of texts from Lauren followed, accusing her of destroying the family and ruining Chloe's graduation joy. Emily ignored them, focusing on Sophia, who sat quietly, her face pale. What if they never admit it? Sophia whispered. Emily hugged her. Then we make sure they can't hide from it. While waiting for a response, Emily took a calculated step. She began discreetly sharing the truth with Charles and Margaret's social circle, church friends, neighbors, and their country club acquaintances. She didn't gossip. She simply answered questions about Sophia's college plans with raw honesty. She had to give up Stanford because her grandparents convinced her to give them her college fund for a fake surgery. Then spent it on Chloe's car and trip. The reactions were explosive, shock, disbelief, and quiet outrage. One church elder, Tom Reynolds, called Emily directly. I've known your parents for decades. Is this true? Ask them, Emily said. Ask where Chloe's graduation gifts came from. The whispers spread like wildfire, tarnishing the Hughes' carefully curated image. An unexpected ally emerged. Susan Carter, Margaret's longtime book club friend. Susan confided that years ago, Margaret had borrowed money from her cousin for a supposed medical expense, only to splurge on a new patio. We stayed quiet out of shame, Susan admitted. But this? It's despicable. She offered a written statement about the prior incident, bolstering Rachel's case. As the deadline loomed, Sophia's anxiety spiked. What if they don't pay? What if we have to go to court? She asked, twisting a strand of hair. Emily steadied her. Then we go to court. Rachel says they'll avoid that at all costs. Their reputation's already cracking. To distract Sophia, Emily's best friend, Mia, dropped by with homemade lasagna and words of encouragement. You're a warrior, Soph, Mia said, ruffling her hair. Standing up like this? That's power. Sophia managed a small smile. But her nights were restless. Her phone checked obsessively for any sign of an apology that never came. On the 10th day, a courier arrived with a thin envelope. Emily's heart sank as she opened it. A letter from Charles's attorney, Edward Klein. Charles and Margaret Hughes deny all allegations of fraud. The funds were a voluntary gift. However, to avoid family conflict, they offer $12, payable over 3 years, contingent on a non-disclosure agreement. Sophia's face crumpled. They're still lying. And it's not even half. Emily's rage flared. But she called Rachel immediately. Classic move, Rachel said. They're testing you. My advice? We file the lawsuit today and serve them tomorrow. Emily glanced at Sophia, who nodded. Do it, Sophia said, her voice hard. By noon, Rachel had filed the papers. And the next morning, A process server named Carla delivered them to the Hughes' doorstep. Carla later told Emily that Margaret's face looked like she'd swallowed a lemon when she saw the summons. The fallout was swift. Charles called, blustering about ungrateful brats and frivolous lawsuits. Margaret followed, alternating between sobs and threats to disown them. Lauren left voicemails accusing Emily of tearing the family apart. Through it all, Sophia stayed eerily calm. They still think they're the victims, she observed, shaking her head. They really believe they had a right to my money. 3 days later, an unexpected visitor knocked on their door, Chloe, Lauren's daughter, clutching her Gucci bag, her face flushed with unease. Can I talk to Sophia? Alone? She asked. Emily hesitated but stepped aside after Sophia nodded. In the living room, Chloe confessed she'd only recently learned the truth. They told me the money was from their savings, she said, her voice cracking. I swear I didn't know it was yours. Sophia studied her cousin. Would it have mattered if you did? Chloe looked away. I hope so. I'm not a monster, Soph. Spoiled? Maybe, but I wouldn't steal your future. Chloe's visit left Sophia pensive. She's caught in their web, too, she told Emily later, just in a different way. A week later, Charles requested a meeting at the office of a family friend, mediator James Larson. Rachel advised caution but saw potential. Bring me along, she said. Let's see what they're offering. Sophia insisted on attending, wanting to face her grandparents head-on. At the meeting, Charles and Margaret sat stiffly, flanked by Edward Klein. James opened with a plea for family harmony. But Rachel cut through the niceties. Your clients defrauded a 17-year-old out of her college savings. That's not harmony, it's theft. Margaret clutched her pearls. Sophia gave us that money willingly. Under a lie. Emily snapped. That's fraud. Charles tried a new tactic. We always planned to help Sophia with college, just not that overpriced Stanford. Sophia's voice sliced through the room. When? After I gave up my dreams? After Chloe's done with my money in Paris? The Hughes exchanged uneasy glances. Unprepared for her directness, Edward interjected with a new offer, $20, immediate payment. With an NDA. Rachel shook her head. Full restitution. $38 plus interest and legal fees. Nothing less. The meeting dragged on, Charles and Margaret deflecting blame, insisting they were balancing family needs. Sophia's patience snapped. You could sell Chloe's car. Cancel her trip. That's what I'd have to do if I needed money. Margaret gasped. We can't do that to Chloe. It'd break her heart. Emily's voice was steel, but breaking Sophia's heart was fine? After an hour of stalemate, James called a break. In the hallway, Rachel whispered, they're rattled. That offer bump means they're scared. The threat of public exposure is working. Sophia looked drained. Should we take it? Rachel shrugged. Your call. But court makes this public. Their social standing's on the line. Sophia straightened. I want what's fair, all of it. When they reconvened, Rachel reiterated their terms. Full restitution within 7 days. Court. Charles leaned forward, his face red. You'll never step foot in our house again. Sophia met his gaze. I knew that the moment I found out you lied about dying. Grandpa. For a fleeting second, shame flickered in Charles's eyes. But he buried it quickly. Edward bought time. We'll need to review options. Rachel's voice was firm. 7 days. After that, we file for discovery, including your financial records. The threat of exposed finances visibly shook the Hughes. As Emily and Sophia left, a quiet power shift hung in the air. What now? Sophia asked in the car. We wait, Emily said. But they're cornered. The next days were tense. Lauren called, accusing Emily of forcing her parents into debt. They might lose their house, she wailed. They chose to spend Sophia's money. Emily replied, those were their decisions. On day 6, James called. The Hughes agreed to pay $38 plus interest, $41.800 total. They want to deliver the check in person. Rachel nixed the idea. Have them send it to my office. I'll verify it first. The next morning, a cashier's check arrived with a curt note. This payment is made without admission of wrongdoing. To preserve family peace. No apology. No remorse. just cold compliance. Sophia stared at the note. Her voice hollow. It doesn't feel like winning. Emily wrapped an arm around her. It's not victory, sweetheart. It's justice. You stood up, and they faced consequences. That's enough for now. That night, Sophia called Stanford's admissions office, confirming her enrollment for fall. A spark of hope returned to her eyes. But the scars of betrayal lingered. The road to healing was slow. Sophia threw herself into college prep. But trust came harder now. I keep checking my bank account, she admitted, folding dorm sheets. I'm scared it'll disappear again. Emily hugged her. It's safe now. You're safe. Sophia nodded, but her guarded smile spoke volumes. The betrayal had rewritten her view of family, stripping away her belief in unconditional love. 2 weeks later, Lauren showed up unannounced, her usual polish replaced by unease. With Sophia out, she and Emily sat in the living room, the air thick with years of unspoken tension. Mom and Dad drained their savings to pay Sophia back. Lauren began, fishing for sympathy. Emily's voice was flat. They could have sold Chloe's car. Lauren flinched. Chloe offered to. She begged them to give the money back. They refused, said it wasn't her problem. Emily raised an eyebrow. What do you want, Lauren? Her sister twisted her bracelet. Ethan and we're seeing things differently now. The way Mom and Dad always favored Chloe, pitted us against each other. I thought I was lucky being the favorite. But maybe I was just controlled. It was the most honest moment they'd ever shared. Lauren admitted Charles and Margaret were already planning to buy Chloe a condo post-college. I used to think it was generosity. Now I see the strings. Before leaving, Lauren asked if Sophia would talk to Chloe. She feels awful. She didn't know the money was Sophia's. Emily left it to Sophia, who, after mulling it over, agreed to meet Chloe at a coffee shop. She apologized. Really apologized. Sophia reported later. She's cancelled her Europe trip. Got a job at a boutique. She's starting to see how messed up it all was. Emily nodded, surprised. That's a big step for Chloe. Sophia processed her pain through journaling, penning raw reflections on trust, boundaries, and the cost of manipulation disguised as love. When a friend, Ava, faced pressure to lend her savings to a relative, Sophia coached her to say no. Real love doesn't steal your dreams, she told Ava. It builds them up. Her words carried the weight of hard-won wisdom. Before leaving for Stanford, Sophia wrote a final letter to her grandparents. A poignant blend of closure and strength. Emily read it, tears prickling her eyes. Dear Grandma and Grandpa, it began. I'm writing not to fight, but to let go. Losing the money hurt, but losing my trust in you hurt more. I believed in you completely. And you used it to take what I worked years for, a car and a trip that meant nothing compared to my future. I don't expect you to understand or apologize. I forgive you, not for you, but for me. I won't carry this pain to Stanford. But forgiveness doesn't mean trust. I can't rebuild what you burned unless you own what you did. Until then, I'm choosing my peace and my dreams. I wish you well. But from a distance, she signed it Sophia and mailed it, knowing a reply might never come. It didn't. August arrived, and Emily helped Sophia pack for Stanford, pride swelling in her chest. At the dorm drop-off, Sophia hugged her tightly. You taught me to stand up. Mom, you showed me how. Emily's voice cracked. I'm so proud of you, Soph. Not just for Stanford, but for your heart. As they drove apart, Sophia said softly, family isn't just blood. It's who fights for you, who sees you. You're my real family, Mom. That's enough. 3 months into her freshman year, Sophia called, her voice alive with excitement about psychology classes and new friends. I had coffee with Chloe last week. She added casually, she's working, paying her own way. Aunt Lauren and Uncle Ethan are setting boundaries with Grandma and Grandpa, too. Emily smiled, amazed at the ripple effect of Sophia's courage. Sophia's majoring in psychology, aiming to counsel victims of family manipulation. I want to help people see through the lies and stand firm, she told Emily. Charles and Margaret, meanwhile, carry on, their social circle smaller, their silence about Sophia deafening. Lauren says they've rewritten the narrative, painting Emily and Sophia as extortionists. But the truth, like Sophia's strength, shines brighter. This isn't a fairy tale with a neat bow. There's no tearful reunion, no grand apology, but there's something more powerful: Sophia's discovery of her worth, her right to demand respect, and her ability to rise above betrayal. To anyone facing family manipulation, Sophia's story screams the truth. True love lifts you up, never tears you down. Stand for your dreams, set boundaries, and know your value isn't defined by those who can't see it. Share your own stories below. How have you faced family betrayal? Let's lift each other up.